Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Pac-Man here once again, and I am back for yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament for the Game Boy Advance. So, last time we did manage to able to wrap things up in everything for the likes of Northern Express, despite the fact that there was technically one more level left, but we'll save that for later, because today, for this video, is the fact that we're going to be moving on to the next world in this game, which does manage to take place somewhere in the east. And also, in addition to that, we also beat the likes of the forms of our familiar foe, from the likes of Klonoa, Daughter Phantomile, which is of course, Joker. So anyways, let's get into the forms of the next world in this game, which appears to be known as Eastern Desert. So, you won too, Klonoa. Of course, I'm going to keep going till I am the champ. Terrific. I've gotta do my best to keep up. The second round takes place in the sands and oasis of the Eastern Desert. Off we go. Alright, let's see what we're gonna be first off against this time. After all, that we've already beaten Joker, so I believe we might also face up against someone that usually is like a fisherman. Yeah, let's go. So, you call yourself Klonoa, do you? Huh? That's right. I see. Weaklings always hang out in groups. What did you say? Easy, easy. The game is about to start. Hey, hold on a minute. Oh, that guy really gets on my nerves. So anyway, we're now on to round 2 of this entire tournament, which like I said, it takes place in the Eastern Desert. So in this case, we're now on to the third world. So yeah, as always, we're able to actually just collect some more Dreamstones, and eventually we're able to actually collect some more Sunstones, and you probably get the idea about that. So, and also we come across that familiar enemy from the likes of the past Klonoa games, and much like the forms of how it does it on the previous games, every time whenever you manage able to pick up this particular bomb-like enemies like these, it actually activates a countdown clock, which at the moment right now, you can only deal with that particular bomb-like enemy from the likes of about 11 seconds or something like that. Or, in certain rooms, they do manage able to get ourselves even more time. Like, for instance, that one over there. Like, you know, with this next room that we actually entering into. Basically, though, is the fact that we have to worry about the forms of 20 seconds time. Because if it reaches to 0, much like the forms of how it does it previously, it will explode. And then you have to be very careful not to get touched by the explosion. Because, well, if you get involved with that explosion, well, you're probably gonna able to lose a life, so, or lose a bit of health even, so. And also, similar to the forms of how it does it in the Empire of Dreams, is the fact that we obviously come across into those, familiar blocks that you can able to actually decide able to carry it at any point. So in this case, we do have ourselves these little direction, blocks, which basically, it only triggers as soon as you're able to actually let the actual, a bomb-like enemy until it explodes, and, yeah, I suppose that's pretty much it, really. And also, similar to the forms of both Klonoa Moonlight Museum, as well as the forms of Empire of Dreams, basically, though, is the fact that in order able to progress, because some of those portions throughout in certain stages do manage able to get blocked off by that particular block. And to do that, you have to once again utilize these bomb-like creatures in order able to actually just to do that. So, and every once in a while though, that you're gonna have to able to activate certain switches in order able to progress for the sake of the forms of certain puzzle segments or anything else like that. So, anyway, for the most part, I guess there's not much else I can honestly try to say, because I think I've already mentioned about a lot of stuff that has usually been the case ever since in yesterday that obviously we've already wrapped things up with Warrior Land 4 recently. So in this case though, we've only now down to 2 more Warrior platformer games left, which is one for the DS and one for the Wii. Or maybe another one if God knows Nintendo decide to make the next one, but we'll see what happens in due time and during at some point in this year's E3, if possible for the sake of the Formula Online event. So, but I digress. So yeah, today's day is of course the 4th of March today, in this case in 2022 today. I believe we've only got about 2 more weeks to go until basically Kirby and the Forgotten Land will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch for about you know, like I said, 3 weeks time. So because of that though, we're actually getting pretty close till we finally able to actually just experience the game within the fully fledged 3D Kirby game for the first time. So as a result though, I was really excited about that still, especially noticeable that, like I said, because obviously that's, well, about time to able to actually have ourselves our fully fledged 3D Kirby's Adventure. So because of that though, that'll be very exciting, especially noticeable that we had a lot of 2D platforming games in throughout the years, but either way though, that might be some conception. So anyway, so let's go ahead and get rid of that, so just in case we can able to use this thing to well, activate the switch. But before we do all that stuff, we need to do that, and then, oh jeez, this might be a little bit of a picky timing right there, but luckily though, we have accomplished it to, well, get ourselves the final Star Stone, and, well, we can leave the level like so. So, apart from those side of things though, is the fact that obviously ever since yesterday also, along with the forms of, you know, Warrior Land 4 Let's Play is now wrapped up since yesterday. You know about the fact that recently, that yesterday on the Nintendo Switch department, is that obviously that particular game console, the Nintendo Switch, has been out for 5 years now, which, jeez, I can't even believe that the time itself just went flying by almost. But either way though, still a successful system after the events of that miserable failure Wii U, because obviously with all the name and everything, but it knows what it is for the most part, so yeah, you probably get the gist of it. So anyway, so oh, and also another thing before we're able to continue on, as you can see that we actually now stumbled across these purple-like switches, and then I believe if you dare touch the switch, either utilizing you know, enemies or wind bullet in general, basically does the fact that every time you touch it, basically does the fact that it'll alternate those blocks alternatively. You know, kind of like it did the forms of how it does it on, although it's kind of similar to the forms of how it does it on the likes of the previous Klonoa games or something, ranging from, you know, Klonoa Moonlight Museum, along with the forms of Empire of Dreams, except the fact that the biggest difference is this time, I think, that is the fact that the actual Switch model was actually a little bit more different than the forms of that traditional style, which, you know what I mean when it comes to the forms of those diamond shapes in between the actual circle in the center. You guys should probably already know what I'm trying to say, because I know for the fact that it has been 2 days ago since we've last touched this, because like I said, we've pretty much wrapped things up everything for the likes of Warrior Land 4 right now, like I said. So in this case though, oh jeez Louise. Oh yeah, by the way, much like before, that you can't afford able to actually just let the bomb explode onto certain enemy encounters, because obviously that it will explode it immediately. So I think I somewhat messed this up, because I was expecting about the fact that, hold on, let me just exit the room and re-enter the room again, so that way we can able to actually just to do this puzzle segment proper. So anyways, let's go ahead. Ah, darn it. Well, there goes my first step of the playthrough, which to be expected, because eventually at this point in time, that the puzzle segments can get a lot more tougher at this rate, especially that when it gets to Wall 3 and onwards though, the puzzles themselves are gonna get outright ridiculous at times, especially because, well, I can honestly try to say that this is gonna be the most toughest aspect about Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament, so, but hopefully I'll try my best as soon as I can for able to actually just accomplish certain things like this, but we'll just see what happens there. We'll just see what happens there, so anyways, let's grab this next Sunstone here, and grab some more Dream Stones, and I suppose that's pretty much about it, really. And of course, just like before, that we need to able to utilize that particular switch, that if you stand on it, then obviously it'll open itself. But if you try to get off it though, it will just close it. So we need to figure out some things. Specifically, we need to place the bomb-like creature down there. So that way, it'll keep the actual switch in place. So that way, we can able to actually just to continue on and just trying to progress throughout. So yeah, that pretty much explains it. So anyways, let's go ahead and do this again. Oh, did I manage to able to? Oh wait, we have to use that thing right now. So hopefully we would able to actually put that in place. And oh jeez, oh wait, we can able to actually use these things. So because I almost first thought about the fact that I was a bit confused at first. But anyway, let's just go ahead and let the actual block explode, or just vanishes completely, and then get ourselves our sunstone, so that way we can able to actually just get something out of it if you decide to able to grab every single sunstone throughout in each world, so that way we can able to actually get something out of it. So but yeah, another thing I just want to point things out as well is the fact that someone said in the comments about the fact that, yeah, I've heard about the forms of the TV series called Arthur, which, I haven't exactly watched it for donkey's years. I think the last time I've seen the actual show is definitely back in the forms of a long time ago, actually, when it first aired on, well, it usually airs for such a long amount of time. Well, at least I know for the fact that the show has been out for about almost 26 years ago, which that was usually since in 1996, the same year as Super Mario 64 came out, along with the forms of Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, and also with I would say about the forms of Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic Blast for the Game Gear, at least if I was certain about that, and also say applies to the forms of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. So yeah, I thought to myself about that. So and also yeah, because of that though, I haven't exactly watched the Arthur show for such a long time, because the only time I saw the show was aired during the course of CBBC for a long period of time. So because of that though, even though I almost easily lose track of myself, we're able to actually know the series as much as the next guy, but I definitely heard good things about it though. But unfortunately though, I think I actually just managed able to lost track of myself for which specific episodes I've seen, because, well, like I said, it's been donkey's years since I actually last seen the show. But someone did say about the fact that recently, for about a couple of days ago actually, that apparently the finale episode did manage to air during that time, and because of that though, some people might actually felt a bit emotional to see the actual finale of Arthur. So I was like, oh goodness, it's kind of like the forms of one that usually happens on one time. Whenever that was back in 2019 actually, whenever I watched, you know, the rest of the finale season of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic and stuff like that. And oh jeez, the finale did actually make me tears and cried and emotional at the same time, because, well, it's just hard, you know, for able to actually just miss the actual specific shows you always adore and then loved for. So yeah, that seems kind of hard to cope with, but it knows what it is when it comes to like the finales that just makes things a bit upsetting and all the other jazz. But yeah, that's as far as I can usually try to say about it. So, but yeah, that's as far as I can say about the forms of the Arthur TV show as a result, even though I haven't got my own opinions on the show though, because like I said, it's been donkey's years since I actually last seen it, because after all that I pretty much used to with other shows lately. So yeah, forgive me if I somehow botched everything up. So yeah, I do apologize for that. So, I suppose another thing I should probably explain about this too is the fact that one of those YouTube comments stating about the fact that ever since in the beginning portion of this Let's Play so far, that someone did actually say about the fact that when you're gonna do Castlevania Bloodlines, aka Castlevania The New Generation for the Mega Drive / Sega Genesis, as far as I've already messaged about this, and that is the fact that I would absolutely love to do the Castlevania Marathon of Let's Plays. Mind you, there might be a couple of exceptions though, specifically though with the DS games, because unfortunately though, we haven't got any luck yet when it comes to likely getting the DS game collection compilation yet. But hopefully at some point in the future though, that we will be able to get the rest of the Castlevania DS games on that particular compilation in the future. Although, you know, we've already got ourselves the rest of the classic games, including Rondo of Blood, Dracula X, aka Vampire's Kiss in Europe, which is basically the Super Nintendo version of Rondo of Blood, but you can't able to actually play as Maria Menard, unfortunately, for the sake of the Dracula X game, so... But I digress. And also Symphony of the Night, one of the best games ever for the Castlevania series, and I was expecting I was able to actually also include the Game Boy games as well, but I forgot able to put them on the actual list. But hopefully we'll do the Castlevania Marathon of Let's Plays, maybe at some point in next year in 2023, because obviously we need to work on the forms of other Let's Plays to hopefully try to wrap things up for the sake of the forms of other games in the future. Well, to be more specifically, we need to almost wrap things up with the forms of the rest of the Klonoa series up to this point, well, apart from a couple of exceptions, which are, you know, Klonoa Beach Volleyball on the PlayStation 1, as well as the forms of Klonoa Heroes Legendary of the Star Medal, because obviously that was a Japanese exclusive RPG game from the likes of in 2002. So, I don't know if I can usually tackle for that game, honestly, just because, well, everything else in that game is entirely in Japanese, and I can't tell which specific text is reading, so... Unless there's actually a full translated version of it, but it's kinda hard to tell for this point, because... Well, as I said before, there has been about, you know, like I said, 2 days ago since I actually last touched this, because, although, luckily though, I did somehow manage able to catch up on certain, you know, uploading schedules lately, because obviously that's trying to focusing on other Let's Plays in the future for trying to wrap things up and all the other jazz. So, but yeah, that might be some consumption, so. But anyway, because of that though, and also, certain crossovers where it comes to likely if Klonoa was featured. Like, I know for the fact that there was one instance about the fact that there was actually a game called Namco vs. Capcom, which is pretty interesting collaboration with that particular fighting game, despite the fact that it only came out in Japan, because, well, I honestly have no idea why. They just never actually released the game from everywhere else, because that would be an interesting fighting game in theory, because obviously, in addition to able to bring ourselves the rest of the fighters based off from Namco and Capcom characters, most notably Mega Man from the likes of Mega Man Legends or something, but also they bring Klonoa and Grunts, as far as I'm usually concerned with his name though, so yeah, kinda interesting. But I've seen the actual gameplay of it for the likes of Namco X Capcom fighting game, but I haven't exactly watched that particular Let's Play since, because, well, it's impossible to able to get the game because, you know, like I said, it's Japanese exclusive, so... Oh well, no big deal, but at least it's kinda interesting to able to actually just to see how, Klonoa actually managed able to get, his brief appearance on other games, so... But yeah, that might be something worth noting for, so... Alright, so we're going back into this hoverboard kind of level, and except this time we're going back into this particular easy perspective, so rather than just trying to able to do a massive guess when it comes to likely what's in front of you and stuff, so in this case though is the fact that we obviously still need to dodge those statues every once in a while before we able to actually just, well, just trying to dodge everything, so... And of course, we have to now reutilize it with those little tornadoes to able to jump somehow. So hopefully we would be able to keep ourselves a bit steady while trying to able to control with the hoverboard and all that stuff. Because sometimes though, still, it's the hardest part about these particular stages sometimes, much like the first game in the series. Although, unlike the first game, like I said, it does have checkpoints. Whilst in here though, well, you have to do this within one playthrough at all, because obviously if you mess things up, then you have to do the entire level again if you just somehow, you know what I'm saying. But anyways, now we've actually completed that. I highly guarantee I'm probably not going to get the S rank on this level because, well, I got hit twice, so whatever. Whatever, because ranks, you know, like I said, it doesn't really matter what ranks I can get, so yeah, that's maybe entirely suggestible. Alright, so let's move on to Vision 3-5. So, I wonder how this level's gonna plays out. And it's entirely in darkness. So, we are able to navigate ourselves to, well, trying to explore around in this dark room. But thankfully, we've got ourselves the actual, the shining light that keeps us in track. So, yeah, that might be something worth noting for. So, yeah, I suppose that's pretty much as far as I can say about this, honestly, apart from the fact that, well, I suppose I should probably not, I should probably also mention about this as well, I think, that I suppose I forgot to mention about. Ever since in the finale video, for the sake of the Forms of Wario Land 4, apparently though, is the fact that the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie is probably gonna get itself its post-release date for, Russia country, because, well, luckily the UK and America and Japanese release date of the film is going to be still relatively the same, no delays or anything, but in Russia, on the other hand, though, it's going to get delayed, because it was expecting if it's going to be releasing during the exact same season as in the rest of the countries were, but Russia is probably not going to be able to release it on spring because, well, like I said, ever since on Wednesday, those Russian, well, if I would like to say the Russian president is actually a big jerk. Especially noticeable because, well, why did they do that? For able to try to attack Ukraine? I mean, that's just ridiculous, man. But let's not talk about that right about now because, well, obviously that's we're just going to be playing some good old Klonoa, because obviously Klonoa is my favorite gaming franchise at this point now because, well, I enjoyed all the games. Well, apart from I haven't experienced every single game, because like I said, I haven't tried out the RPG game yet, but I'll be meaning to able to get around into it. Assuming if I was trying to able to find the English translated version of the game on the emulator, so I don't know if I can usually decide to guarantee that I can able to actually do this Let's Play like I said. So, yeah, you get the idea. And also, we've actually come across into those familiar creatures ever since during the course of Klonoa 2, Lunati's Veil from the console game, because basically, every time you pick up this particular yellow-like enemy, like a crystallized enemy, basically, every time whenever you toss it into a certain enemy, it'll transform into either 3 different colors, ranging from yellow, blue, and red. So, because you can see what that particular corresponding colors for certain crystals that we need to able to eliminate it. So, yeah, because if you ever played Klonoa 2, Lunati's Veil before on the PlayStation 2, including at some point until the next few months, to be more specifically though, I think we've naturally only got about I would classify it for saying 4 more months left almost, until, you know, Klonoa Fantasy Revive series is going to be on its way to the Nintendo Switch first, and then of course later on for, you know, the rest of the systems, ranging from, you know, PC, Steam, Xbox various systems, ranging from Xbox One and Xbox Series X/Series S, and even PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, so... Because, still, it's been a very long time since when, Klonoa managed able to jump to the PlayStation systems, ever since on the PlayStation 2, with, of course, you know, Klonoa 2, Lunati's Veil. So, yeah, it's been awfully a long time. Or, technically speaking, if you want to count, Klonoa Beach Volleyball, so, despite the fact there was actually a spin-off from the sake of the PlayStation, so, that's why usually I'm meant to try to say, because, well... you probably get the idea about that. So, anyways, let's toss this little enemy block just on top of that particular thing itself, so that way we would be able to progress. Although there's a way you can go back, but I think I pretty much guaranteed I've already collected most of those collectibles in here though, so... Oh yeah, eventually at some form or another is the fact that certain levels can go much longer than it needed to be. So because of that though, I think there are going to be plenty of times where basically though is the fact that if we go into those puzzle segments, like I said, it gets a bit tougher every once in a while. But regardless of everything else though is the fact that as soon as you're able to know everything, well, basically though, you were able to actually find this particular puzzle segment a cakewalk. Well, at least if the video itself gets a bit far more lengthy than ever, then until whenever we get to the final portions of the game, I'm gonna have to able to divide it into 2 parts within a particular world respectively or something. So, jeez Louise, I keep on getting myself exploded. But at least this part is not too bad, at least if you're trying to able to do that particular skill like I just did right there. And of course that we had actually come across into that switch, which obviously changes the actual directions for that conveyor belt. So, yeah, that pretty much explains it, so. And I think roughly by that time though is the fact that we're pretty much almost to the halfway point of Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament so far, which I was expecting that might actually be kind of more to it, but turns out though is the fact that certain stages, depending on how lengthy they are this time around, at the very least I can able to actually still accomplish certain things, so at least that might be something I suppose. But anyway, let's just go ahead and grab some more dream stones up there, and then trying to grab that thing right here, so that way we can able to go up. Oh, of course, much like the forms of how it does it on, well, let's just say, both Klonoa Daughter Phantomile, as well as the forms of Klonoa 2 Lunity's Veil. I can assure you, there's only one particular key this time around, as opposed to multiple shaped keys from the likes of the forms of Klonoa Moonlight Museum, as well as the forms of Klonoa Empire of Dreams, because with those 2 games, basically they obviously managed to contain those different shaped keys, ranging from the circle key, the square key, the cross key, and especially noticeable with any other shaped keys for that matter, to try to referencing the PlayStation buttons and stuff like that. To be more specifically, when it comes to, well, you know what I mean, when it comes to the forms of Moonlight Museum's case, because obviously that you would able to come across into the square key, triangle key, circle key, and a cross key, because, you know, PlayStation reference, so. But I digress. So anyways, let's just go ahead and get this little thing itself going, despite the fact that I'm always have a bit of struggle at first, because one thing I should probably also try to say about this point is the fact that this is gonna be technically gonna be evolved around semi-blind sometimes, because I wasn't exactly sure if I was gonna able to do this right, but hopefully though we'll not get able to have too much pressure for its time though, because, well, thankfully though that the ranking system involves around, you know, just simple tasks, like, you know, not to use so many retries as much as you can, and I completely messed this up, so at least we'll still get multiple chances to. Okay, so we still got enough time to do this, so be fast, and there we go, and toss it right there, so that way we can get more dream stones and a sunstone, so whew, problem solved. At least it did actually took me a lot of thinking to do. But regardless of such though, we've actually gone past this, so anyways, let's unlock this particular door to be able to progress to, I think this is the final room, I think, so before we move on to the next one, so, oh, this is going to be interesting to say the least. Well, thankfully we've actually already got ourselves all 4 of those remaining dream stones as far as I can see. But every now and then now is the fact that we're just gonna have to able to utilize those arrow blocks to able to actually make the bomb enemy to explode on itself. So hopefully that pretty much does it from there, I think. At least for the most part anyway, so we're just gonna have to do a bit of thinking to do, but either way, we're just gonna have to work with this, so. Anyway, so I think this will do, and I suppose we should probably place that up arrow right here. And let's not forget that particular right arrow block just in here, and I think we should be all sorted from here, because obviously that we've already solved this, because, well, seems pretty obvious that certain puzzles like this are, for the most part, self-explanatory, assuming if you're able to actually know the layout, so... And that pretty much does it from there. So, let's grab this last star stone, and we'll leave the level. I'm not gonna lie, that level's kinda tricky, I'm not gonna lie. Well, despite the fact that I wasn't paying attention to the actual results screen because, well, I just not able to actually afford to see how much damage that I took. But anyway, enough about that, and let's go ahead and move on to Vision 3-6. And also, that we actually come across into this new obstacle, as you can see. Like, basically, I think it's kind of like the exact same, thing as the forms of how it does it on Klonoa in Empire of Dreams or something like that, although I may be wrong, because it has been about, almost entirely a year ago since when, you know, when, Mega Man did manage to tackle through, Empire of Dreams, I should say, because either way, though, that's, because we're busy, just managed able to do some other Let's Plays throughout, so, yeah, because basically, as you can tell, that we actually come across into those arrow-like, objects, as you can tell. And basically, depending if you either throw it to the actual enemy, or if you use an enemy to throw it at the arrow, it actually goes into its corresponding direction. So because of that, take this part for example, that basically, although, I can assure you that with those red ones are basically just still, like you can't really change the directions of the arrows themselves with these little red variations of those arrows. But if you come across into those blue variations of those arrows, as you can see, basically though is the fact that we're able to actually just to change the directions. So by using the actual wind bullets, which I'm pretty sure the visual style with those arrows, it might be exactly the same as the Empire of Dreams counterparts, except the fact that the models themselves are actually a lot more different this time. So yeah, I can explain for that particular point clearly though, but then again, like I said, it's been 2 days since I actually last played this, so... Alright, so we'll just keep changing the arrow directions, so just in case we can able to, like, progress from here. So, I don't suppose that's not the way I was meant to able to go from here, but we can able to just hop on there again to go up there. Alright, I know exactly what I'm gonna do, so it's got to do that, and let the chest pop up, and we should be able to progress to obtain the key, so we can able to actually just go ahead and progress onwards. So, oh, by the way, something's worth mentioning, with those little like robot looking angel guys right there, they basically is kind of like the equivalent to these sign billboards from the likes of the forms of Klonoa in Empire of Dreams, basically. Like, I believe it actually tells you specific hints and all that stuff, so I think that's what those guys are for, so... Yeah, I suppose that's kind of what it is, so... But anyway though, another thing is kind of unfortunate for the sake of the forms of the Pokemon fans out there, is the fact that what I suppose I forgot to mention about this ever since about 2 days ago, I guess. That is the fact that, unfortunately though, is the fact that you still need to able to cooperate with the forms of Pokemon Home Map in order able to actually get a limited amount of Pokemon for the sake of this upcoming Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. So because of that though, I get the horrible feeling that we're actually going to be dealing with the problem with the Pokédex problem again after the events of Sword and Shield and also Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Like, why can't they just able to actually just get the rest of the Pokemon and fit it into one gigantic data from that Pokédex thing? Like, isn't that supposed to be easy? But nope, it's just decided able to ditch most of the Pokemon with other games, and it's nonsensical to me. I just absolutely have no idea why they go for that decision in the first place. At least ever since back in, well, 2019, I suppose. But I honestly have no words. But I digress. So, I suppose I should probably mention about this as well, I think, is the fact that, well, about that time until when it gets to Monday, though, but no way, it was actually next Tuesday, I guess, that basically, Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn for the Nintendo 3DS will be expected to become 3 years old. So, yeah, I was I haven't exactly touched that version since because, well, I think the only points I've actually got into right now is the third world in the game, while at the same time trying to deal with the forms of not only for certain sub-games they include, but also just trying to get the actual specific rewards based off from the devilish mode, in this case the hard mode of the game, which I cannot, for the life of me, can never actually completed those particular stages within a full health run, which as a result, it is impossible though. So yeah, I was able to actually just, oh no wait, actually I'm on the actual, I would say I'm on the fourth world actually, so sorry, I just get a little bit mixed up when it comes to likely for certain gaming progressions as far as this is concerned, so I have to admit that I apologize for that too. Well, this is kind of a fun puzzle to do, and that is the fact that we can able to just, well, toss that particular crystallized enemy, and then just trying to toss it to any other enemies, as you can see, while trying to deal with the forms of the changeable blue arrow direction, so that way we can able to just, well, trying to get rid of those crystals, so we can able to actually just to, like, go ahead and progress throughout, so... But yeah, I guess I suppose that's pretty much as far as I can say when it comes to this particular discussion today. I mean, I would still like to be able to mention more details about that, but sure enough though, until tomorrow anyway, that, well, Raid the Flying Squirrel will still be back on to more of the, you know what I mean, the continuation Let's Play of Mario Party 7, so... Oh yeah, I forgot to show you this actually. This is actually new to this game, and that's what appears to be by the forms of, let's just say, the map button or something like that. Although it's not necessarily a map thing, but you can able to actually double check on the actual specific rooms that certain items you've missed. So in this case, if you press down the R button and hold it there, and then basically though is the fact that you can able to actually look around for a bit on the actual room that you're in, and then basically it actually shows you where specific items you've missed, or if you collected everything on that particular room. So that'll be pretty handy though, especially noticeable if you're missing out on something. Well, good news, you can able to actually just look it up and just, well, trying to figure out, and then just hopefully go off a bit trying to obtain it in the process. So, again, it's a nifty feature, especially noticeable that unlike in Klonoa Empire of Dreams, I don't suppose that doesn't have that feature though. So yeah, I guess that's a good thing they did manage to have that particular feature this time. So, and although unfortunately though, is the fact that with that particular feature, like I said, unfortunately though, it is not affected on boss fights. So because of this though, yeah, it's all about guesswork if you're trying to face off against with certain bosses. So yeah, it seems kind of unfortunate, but regardless of such though, at least assuming if you're trying to able to find, you know, the rest of the Dream Stones. So yeah, that might be the only questionable thing about it, so... Alright, so we'll just, oh jeez, okay. Thank God I did not, fall off or anything, so... I guess we should probably just do that. And then just use that particular dynamite-like enemy, and hopefully that should pretty much does it for letting that particular block will be exploded on the far right. So, yeah, I guess that's that. Alright, it's gonna have to do that, just in case it'll make things a bit faster, so, because, you know, sometimes I like to be fast at certain points, well, usually because of that, though, I just want to make things a bit simpler by comparison, but, like I said, that until in the future worlds and onwards, though, that certain puzzles can get a lot tougher at this point, like I said, but either way, for some reason, I just fell down here for some reason. Oh, to be fair, though, we need to use not one, but quite a lot of enemies on this room, because I get the feeling that the last Star Stone does need to acquire that particular crystallized enemy to able to get fusion from. So yeah, that seems kind of obvious. So anyway, so let's just go ahead and try to figure this out though. So I suppose we should be able to no, let's not do that. But we can able to actually use this dynamite looking enemy over there and try to flutter ourselves back up. And we have to be fast on it though, because if you don't make it in time, then you're gonna be too late. So yeah, that's what I mean when it comes to certain puzzles like this. It's gonna get much more harder than it looks. But either way though, let's just... Ah, shoot, I did not meant to do that. Hold on, let me just do this. And, oh jeez, I messed this up again. Oh jeez. It can take a while though, especially noticeable if you can tell with the actual video length already. It's gonna be one of the longest parts so far, which that's to be expected because, like I said, certain puzzles can get not only harder to solve, but also it's a bit lengthy at the same time as well. But thankfully in certain stages, ranging from, you know, every 4th levels of any other visions, and especially noticeable with the 7th visions throughout, then basically though it just makes things a bit faster, so there we go. Now we've actually done with that particular, I'm not gonna lie, a pretty tricky puzzle to solve, but thankfully we did manage to solve this, so... Oh wait, that was something else. But anyway, now we're done with that. Couldn't imagine what rank I can get, although I might as well once again get a C rank, so yeah, somehow I managed to get that. But anyway, so now we've actually access to not 1, but 2 other levels, so I suppose we should probably be focusing on Vision 3-7, so yeah, hopefully it should be self-explanatory from here, despite that, oh jeez, almost from myself the actual to a bottomless pit or something like that, but thankfully that does not seem the case at all, so and also that of course we need to be fast on this, assuming if you're trying to go after every single dreamstone, so yeah, that's something I suppose. But anyway, let's just, you know, go up and then just do not get crushed by the actual auto-scrolling screen, and well, hope for the best really. So, yeah, it feels like we're not doing too bad, all things considered, for the sake of this world so far, apart from those struggling moments where it comes to this puzzles themselves, but it knows what it is, so... Alright, so we'll just go wait for a while, and I'm not exactly sure what's in here though. Oh wait, it could be something in there. Oh yeah, of course, the blue Dreamstone, and hopefully we'll grab the rest of the remainings of them, including the Sunstone, which thankfully we've gotten through. So anyways, let's jump up and grab the last 2 Dreamstones and hop onto the cannon, and that should pretty much does it for this level. Pretty short though, it took me about less than 2 minutes or something like that, so I guess that's that. Oh yeah, I should probably mention about this as well, I think. I suppose that, I'm not exactly sure who did the actual Let's Play of Pac-Man World 2, but I'm sure enough that we already done our Let's Play of Pac-Man World 2 already, back in the forms of, let's just say in 2020, oh jeez. I have no idea what I'm saying for this point right now, because I know for the fact I was able to get away with it, but it knows what it is. But, anyway, for what I've noticed, whenever I did manage to look upon several facts out there, when it comes to the forms of Pac-Man World 2 itself, I'm talking about the forms of the Japanese version of Pac-Man World 2, that it only came out on the PlayStation 2 on the Japanese version, never came onto the GameCube or the Xbox versions for the Japanese version, so yeah, but for what I've noticed something, there's actually quite a few differences as far as I found out. From, predictably with the English version of Pac-Man World 2, all the way up to, well, for the English version compared to the Japanese release of the game. Like, I've noticed there are some slight differences, and that is the fact that with this altered level design, and also, not to mention though, is the fact that the actual, ghosts do somehow manage to get themselves fully voiced on the in-game text. So yeah, that's something I don't suppose I actually mentioned about this at all. Plus, on certain levels, like for example, into the volcano level, basically normally on the English version, if you somehow manage to try to avoid the lava section with that particular platform you have to jump onto, well, basically though, is the fact that on the English version, of Pac-Man World 2, specifically into the volcano level, is the fact that after you try to able to jump over for those fire pits and stuff like that. Basically though, is the fact that the level will continue on until you get to the point where it gets a bit trickier. But on the Japanese version, on the other hand though, that particular ending portion of Into the Volcano with that particular crumbling platform or the crumbling pillars, along with the forms of that particular propeller platform, basically that section doesn't exist on the Japanese version. So because of that, and so applies the forms of that final switch section from the likes of Volcano Panic or Volcanic Panic, because obviously that if you somehow manage to make your way to the very end and near that particular, you know that one part whenever you come across into a Galaxian item, if you somehow manage to be able to obtain one of the fruits, and if you open a chest, that way it gives you a Galaxian item. Whilst the forms within the Japanese version is being replaced as in a sparkle effect, which actually represents the goal. So yeah, it's kind of interesting actually, especially that some people seem to say that the Japanese version of Pac-Man World 2 for the PlayStation 2 might actually be considered to be the easiest version of Pac-Man World 2 up to that point. So yeah, I did not notice at first. Especially noticeable, I suppose I should probably mention about this also, that the actual in-game font is kind of similar, doesn't it? For specifically Mario Party, Star Rush, and Mario Party the Top 100, which basically though is the fact that that was you know, that particular font they also managed to reuse from Yokai Watch games as well. I could assure to you about this, but either way, that's what I've actually saw the actual font of the actual Japanese version of Pac-Man World 2, which is, like I said, pretty much exactly similar to the ones in Mario Party Star Rush and the Top 100, which, yeah, it's kind of strange, doesn't it? So, anyway, because normally on the English version it gets like a pretty wacky font design. So, yeah, it seems kind of interesting, for I've seen the actual gameplay footage of the Japanese version of the game of Pac-Man World 2. And also that in the beginning world, you know, with the grasslands world, oh my god, that the difficulty between the English version and the Japanese version has a lot of significant differences. Like, for example, in Canyon Chaos, normally on the English version, you do come across into a lot of bottomless pits you're gonna have to avoid, whilst in the Japanese version, it just makes things a hell of a lot easier, meaning about the fact that you can't afford able to fall off, so yeah, I guess that's pretty strange. It also say applies to the forms of the damage output if you somehow manage to able to kick, you know what I mean, when it comes to certain bosses' butt, including Spooky himself. So because of this though, the damage output is actually a little bit, I suppose the actual, the powerful rate is actually a lot more powerful on the Japanese version, whilst we got able to do certain amount of hits on the English version. So, plus the actual battle arena, for the sake of the forms of Inky's Blade-O-Matic, as well as Pinky's Revenge boss fight, oh man, the arena itself is actually a little bit more easier than the forms of how it does it on the English version. So, yeah, sure, it's something, I suppose, and it's especially interested me as well, despite the fact that I was expecting to try to check it out, but, of course, the PlayStation 2 might be considered this to be a region-locked system, so I don't know if I can able to get the Japanese version of, well, Pac-Man World 2, because, you know, it kind of feels like the exact same thing for the likes of how it does it in Castlevania Dracula's Curse, on the NES or the Famicom version, because usually most people complain about the forms of too much difficulty curve from, you know, the NES version of Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. So because of that though, that in a Japanese version makes things a lot easier and plus a bit more balanced, because obviously with the forms of how much damage you take, and also not to mention though, the checkpoints thankfully feels a lot more generous on the Japanese version, whilst unlike the English version, somehow the checkpoints gets a tad stingy sometimes, especially noticeable if you're trying to deal with the forms of some very, you know what I mean, difficult platforming and all that stuff, but it knows what it is, so yeah, I suppose that's pretty much as far as I can say, honestly, apart from the fact that there are some very interesting tips and tricks here and there, or especially noticeable with that certain interesting facts, but you know, you probably get the idea about that. So, anyway, so I'm having a bit of a trouble, trying to solve this particular puzzle for some odd reason, but, that's what I was supposed to do. So, just gonna have to do this, and let the actual, the little tornado thing to turn off, and that should pretty much does it from there. And I think this is actually the final room of this level, so, yeah, this is the last room of the stage. So, but before we, deal with all that, I do apologize if my commentary is a little bit awkward either, because, well, for some odd reason I just somehow belched again. So, yeah, I promise you guys, it won't happen again until likely next Monday, and especially noticeable on Wednesday or Friday, so that way we can able to actually just to settle things through this point right here. So, anyway, so 3 switches have been already active to able to get ourselves the, of course, the last star stone, so that way we can able to just leave the level. A bit tricky though, but regardless of such though, I did manage to make it through in just within few minutes notice. So, and I get a feeling I'll get the A rank, so yeah, it's to be expected. Seems it's kind of weird. I've never actually come across into a B ranking visuals yet, but either way though, let's just move on. So, versus Gurmurov. Okay, I haven't exactly pronounced his name though. Oh, wait a second, it's like a maze level. Okay, I think we'll try to cope with this, I think, so let's just get started. And hopefully, if we somehow win, then I get a feeling we might as well make it to the semi-finals. Oh, there he is. Ah. So, you're my opponent this time, right? Haha, I guess I am winning so far. Drats! The real test begins now. Oh jeez, he's actually in a hurry. Hey, he started early. Well, we have no choice, aren't we? Because obviously we're once again racing against with him, but thankfully, much like the Joker race, there wasn't anything behind me trying to able to instantly kill me and stuff like that. So, yeah, basically in this particular level is a maze-like, so because of this though, we need to figure out which way you're gonna have to go, and also much like the forms of how it does it on the Joker race, that we need to collect those specific collectibles in order to progress, so that way you can able to actually just, well, try and able to progress, obviously. However, it's gonna be a little bit luck-based at points, especially noticeable that certain chests might able to actually contain that specific item, but luckily I found myself very lucky by able to actually obtain that particular special, like, key object in order to able to progress, but either way though, still, you're gonna have to able to get accustomed to it, so. And also, we actually come across into those cannons, and basically, if you somehow throw those enemies into those cannons, basically, as you can see on this top portion of the screen, that you know that one time we get out able to race against with that particular, the boss itself, basically, it actually stuns them for a bit, so that way you can able to actually just do this, quite frequently, but not all the time though, because most of the time you can just get out able to focusing on not only trying to make your way to the very end, but also if you decide able to go after most of those collectibles, well, be sure just, you know, try to rush things. So because of that though, yeah, we basically pretty much passed for this first part already, so nothing too difficult about it, despite the fact that it might actually feel a little bit too luck-based at points, especially noticeable that if you're trying to find something like, you know, the special key item and stuff like that, but still, we just got to cope with this, so. But I digress. And, also I should probably mention about this as well, that I suppose I haven't mentioned about, and even Ray the Flying Squirrel has forgotten to mention about this either. Specifically for this year in 2022, that it marks the 20th anniversary of the first ever GameCube Mario Party game, which is of course Mario Party 4. So yeah, I can't believe that, well, I think it's gonna be on August throughout, much like the forms of, or maybe it's sometime in October or something, I have no idea, because it has been quite a few days since I actually last played Mario Party 4, because obviously that, you know, like I said, Ray the Flying Squirrel was still working on Mario Party 7, before he able to wrap things up with the rest of the GameCube era of Mario Party games, before he moved on to Mario Party 8, And, you know, like I said, hopefully we'll get onto Mario Party Superstars. And join at some point, not in the summer though, because, well, it might be a bit too hot for able to do it. So I think we should probably best to save that up until it gets to the point, maybe at some point in October if possible, but we'll just see. Alright, so we're not doing too bad for this particular, not so much the boss fight, but it's just the race itself. But, again, like I said, it's almost like a maze-like level, so if you try to figure it out yourself, then you might do a bit just fine. But, it's just the fact that it can be pretty tricky in some scenarios for, you know, trying to look for things, especially noticeable with, you know what I'm saying, so. Alright, so, I was hoping I can able to try to, there we go, so that way we can easily stun him like so. Because normally we can't do that with Joker and stuff like that, because obviously it's almost like a neck-to-neck kind of syndrome or something, but even though it knows what it is, so. Anyway, so I think we're actually going to be expecting to able to get the last Star Stone, specifically towards the very end of the level, so hopefully we would be able to do just that, so. And also, we've already got the Sunstone already, so there we go, we've managed to finish the level, so. Pretty easy, I'm gonna have to say, despite the fact that it can be feels a bit maze-like I said, but when you're trying to figure this out though, you'll deal with it no problem, so. There we go, we got ourselves the S rank on that particular level, so not too shabby right there. And of course, we're able to see what the actual picture gallery looks like for the likes of World 3. So, it appears to be we're actually getting chased by that particular boss that we've already fought against, or raced against rather. So, yeah, I guess that's that. You did it! There was an installation for World 3. There we go, I said this right. There are so many puzzles in the ruins. They were really hard, even for me. Well, I can agree with you here. Huh? You'd say they were easy? You figured them out right away? You don't say. Again, I do apologize for my commentary gets a little bit stubborn at first, but either way, we're done with World 3. Klonoa wins. Yahoo! I always have to say that because, you know, he always says that every time. Double drats. Or double brats, rather. Defeated competitors exit that way. How do you all do? I won too. Only because the other guy messed up. Luck is a strength too, you know? What about you, Chimpy? Or Chimply, rather? Oh, he's not too happy about this. Because I get a feeling that he lost. Don't tell me you didn't make it. I got lots of great hints from you, Klonoa. But I am so ashamed. Hints. The shortcuts, the puzzles, solutions, nothing worked for me. I've lost all my confidence. Hey, hold on. What are you talking about? Huh? You know, all those messages, Klonoa. I hate lukewarm friendships, man. Oh, you dirty little... Whatever. We'll soon be able to bump into him at some point. So, anyway, so join us next time for more of Let's Play of Klonoa 2 Dream Champ Tournament. And that is the fact that we are moving on to the 4th world in the game, known as Southern Resort. So, I guess we're going to Tropical Beach setting this time. So I'll see you guys until on Monday. Later, fellas.